Hello, everybody, and welcome to Café Kouvénta, an Ethnikos Kyrikas National Herald broadcast. I'm your host, Iraklis Diamataris, co-editor and publisher of the National Herald Ethnikos Kyrikas. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Niki Kerameus, Greece's Minister of Labor and Social Security, and one of the country's more dynamic public leaders. We thank her very much for joining us on the broadcast today. Minister Kerameus studied law in Paris before earning her LLM from Harvard University Law School. She went on to build a successful legal career in Athens and New York, specializing in civil law and arbitration. She's been a member of Hellenic Parliament since 2015 and with the New Democracy Party. And she has had posts in the government that include Minister of Education and Religious Affairs, where she spearheaded major reforms like introducing English and robotics from kindergarten, expanding preschool education, and strengthening Greece's ties with leading global universities. And she later served as the Minister of the Interior, where she oversaw landmark initiatives and worked to create a landmark piece of legislation for postal voting, a first in Greece's history. So, beyond her political life, she's a founding member of Desmos, a nonprofit organization that connects donors with social causes around Greece. And we are just very delighted to have Minister Kerameus with us. And we will be focusing today on ReBrain Greece, a initiative from the Greek government for a new optimistic way of attracting top talent back to Greece, and also just the climate of labor in Greece and what the government is doing and what the situation is like on the ground in Greece and what labor prospects are like today. So, without further ado, Minister Kerameus, thank you so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for the kind invitation. I'm delighted to be talking to you, and I'm at your disposal for any questions you may have on any issues regarding Greece, and in particular, this new initiative that the Greek government is undertaking called ReBrain, in which we tremendously believe.
Very good. Thank you. So, Minister Kerameus, I think the logical first place to begin is, can you describe for our listeners today what exactly ReBrain Greece is, how it came to be, what are the goals of the program, and what do you hope that it will achieve?
Right. So this initiative started roughly a year ago. As you may know, Greece has gone through a major transformation. Greece used to have an unemployment rate of that reached even 28% during the financial crisis. When this government took office, the government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis, the unemployment rate was at 18%. Now the unemployment rate is 10 percentage points down. It's down to 8%. It's the largest decrease of unemployment in EU's history in any member state. So with an all-time low, all-time meaning for the past, right now we have the lowest unemployment of the last 17 years, a new problem arises. And the new problem that arises is that we have many companies looking for talented individuals and cannot find them. So we thought of moving a lot more strategically, I would say, as far as all those Greeks that left our home country during the financial crisis mostly in quest of a better, I would say, professional opportunity. So we started an effort roughly a year ago, and the idea is the following. We go to cities and countries where we have many Greeks who have gone there to live and work. And we hold one-day events. We have been to London, to Amsterdam, to Düsseldorf, and to Stuttgart, 4 events so far. We don't go alone. We go together with some of the leading, most prestigious Greek companies, largest Greek companies across all sectors of the economy. We're talking about all 5 systemic banks come with us, all major construction companies, tech companies, private hospitals of Greece, companies specializing in energy and consulting and legal. So we truly touch upon most sectors of the economy. So we go together with representatives of those companies, and we make the best use possible of our consulates and our embassies in order to penetrate into the Greek community and to locate all those Greeks that are living there. So we hold one-day events, which are as follows. they start off with the plenary session, a presentation of the figures of Greece, where Greece stands as far as the economy is concerned, the labor market is concerned, so as to give participants a full picture of how Greece has changed. And that's because the Greece that they left behind has nothing to do with the Greece of 2025. I want to get that message across. And then thousands of interviews take place. When I say thousands, I mean thousands, because you have thousands of people there. And in addition, you have 100, 200 interviews that each company may go through in order to locate really talented individuals. So 4 such events have taken place so far. The 5th one is going to be in the United States of America on December the 7th. It's a Sunday in New York City, in Times Square, Marriott Marquis Hotel. So this is on December the 7th. One has to register in order to attend the event. If you type in ReBrain platform, Ministry of Labor, you will get all the information as to the registration, as to the companies that have signed up, also as to the benefits that the Greek government offers for Greeks living abroad to return. Indicatively, I would mention too, for Greeks who have lived for 5 years and above abroad and they decide to return to Greece, there's a 50% reduction in tax income for 7 years. So that's a really important tax incentive that many, many Greeks that have actually returned are making use of. A second indicative incentive has to do, for instance, with doctors. We have recently passed legislation that provides for the automatic recognition of the specialty of doctors when they're in the US. So once they come back to Greece, they don't have to go through any recognition process. Their specialty is automatically recognized. And so the obvious question that arises is, okay, so how many Greeks have actually returned? 420,000 according to Eurostat figures. 420,000 have already returned, making use of these benefits, of course. But that's not going to stop us. We want to lure back even more Greeks. And that's why we think it's our duty as the Greek government and as the Ministry of Labor to travel to New York this time, together with the companies, in order to showcase truly remarkable business opportunities, employment opportunities that now exist in Greece. And I will close this introductory, I would say, statement by saying the following. I used to live in the States. I used to live in New York. I used to work in New York. And I decided to return back in 2007, very different times, obviously. But I decided to return for purely personal reasons. I was missing my family, was missing my parents. I missed the Greek lifestyle. And I felt that if I wanted to give Greece a chance, I had to do it at that point in time. 20 years forward, obviously, personal reasons always have a significant weight. But what has changed since is that one does not necessarily come back just for personal reasons. What has changed 20 years ahead is the fact that now Greece has remarkable job opportunities to offer, remarkable business opportunities to offer. And of course, personal factors will always weigh in. But the difference is that Greece is one of the fastest growing economies right now of the EU, with a growth rate of 2.3%, has the largest decrease of unemployment in the EU's history. Many new business opportunities arise. And in that new environment, we want to attract back all those Greeks who left our country during difficult times. And now the country is fighting back to get them back.
Well, thank you very much, Minister. That was a very comprehensive overview of the program and what you hope to accomplish. And we are very excited. And of course, we'll be joining and observing. And hopefully, listeners of this podcast will be reaching out to the Labor Ministry in order to register. And hopefully, someone listening out there will decide that for personal and professional reasons, a return to Greece is in the cards for them. So, in terms of what you just discussed, Minister, what you described that you would like for Greeks who have left Greece to return. Now, does that also include members of the Greek diaspora? Is there an emphasis to bring them? Because there are those who are in the Greek diaspora who have never lived in Greece. They feel a strong emotional tie. Maybe they've never thought of Greece as a destination to live in their everyday lives. Maybe they've only gone for, say, a vacation or maybe a summer program. What sort of strategy is there, I guess, from the ministry and from the government generally, to attract bright minds of the Greek diaspora who have lived and grown up their entire lives outside of Greece's borders, but they are, they have attended competitive universities and they have very strong backgrounds, very strong resumes that can contribute greatly, but they might not be sure that Greece is a professional destination. Is there a message to them?
We want them back as well. And I must tell you, many of those members of the Greek diaspora are coming back. I have personally met a number of them. For instance, in Germany recently, we had two events in Germany, in Düsseldorf and in Stuttgart. And I happened to meet in person several Greeks of the diaspora that decided to make the move and come back to Greece. Greece has a lot to offer. I mentioned earlier, Greece has one of the fastest growing economies. Our growth rate right now is at 2.3%, well above many other member states of the European Union. We are facing an opposite problem than the one we had 10 years ago. We need more and more skilled, talented people in order to sustain this growth rate and even expand it, I would say. Tremendous new opportunities arise. Greece is strategically located geopolitically. I would say that too raises and raise new opportunities. So all in all, I think Greece has a lot to offer. And we are trying to get that message across. There's one more point. When we go to these events, it's really interesting to see that we see Greeks, either Greeks who had recently left the country or Greeks who may have never lived in Greece, of all ages and phases of life. I have talked to youngsters of 22 years old who are still in school, in university, and others who are 80 years old and who want to come and retire in Greece, or who have already retired and want to continue their retirement in Greece. And this example is not one to be neglected. I'm going to explain what I mean. I met recently a number of Greeks who had lived their entire life, for instance, in Germany or in the States. And they're 60 something and they're about to retire. Greece has recently changed its regime and it allows for pensioners to work at the same time without having any percentage of their pension be withheld. So this presents tremendous advantages to Greeks who used to live, for instance, in Germany or in the US, who decide who are about to get their pension, who want to come to Greece and live in Greece and live close to their family and enjoy the Greek life, and at the same time work and offer valuable expertise and thriving Greek companies. They can do so. And they can do so with the most favorable regime. I want to give you an example. I recently met somebody who was focusing on 6G technology in Germany. He was 60 something. So I asked him, because he came to one of our events, I asked him, so what are you doing here? He's like, you know what? I'm about to get my pension. I have expertise that very few people have in the world on 6G. I want to come and get my retirement. I want to live in Greece and I want to work at the same time and offer my expertise on 6G. So here's an example of somebody who had spent his entire life in Germany and who yet decided to go ahead and move to Greece and offer his services now to Greek companies that are thriving.
That's a great example and a personal anecdote. So thank you, Minister, for that. It's inspiring to hear that the age range is from young to older, and there is no bias towards youth or the elderly or anything.
None
Um,
whatsoever. We're completely open, and the companies are completely open.
right.
I should also say, and this is just to give you an indication, the companies that come with us, they may come with 10, 15, 20 of their top executives. This is how much they're investing in this. So
All
they
in.
come Right, because they have to hold hundreds of interviews. So they want to be there. They want to answer questions. They want to convince people and showcase to people, how Greece has changed, how their company obviously is performing, and how willing they are to attract all those bright minds back to Greece. So that's why they come so heavily staffed, I would say, with top executives. It's not by accident that most CEOs of those companies will be there as well. So that too is to take into account.
What, Minister, what successes have you seen so far? I mean, obviously you've said 420,000 or so people have already returned. Have there been any challenges that may have arisen so far in the program that maybe you have not foreseen happening? What sort of difficulties have been going on with the program, and if there are any so far, what's being done to maybe remedy it?
Right. I think what's really useful is we get a lot of feedback as to further incentives we can give out. I want to give you an example. So we had this tax benefit, 50% reduction in tax for those coming back. One of the complaints was, and justifiably so, that there was a lot of paperwork to complete a petition and to get this tax benefit. Now we've done it all digitally. So we've created the digital platform. You apply online, everything's done digitally in order to expedite the process, make it really seamless. So that's based on feedback we got from these events. Or the incentive we put in place for doctors with the automatic recognition of their specialty came also through feedback from doctors who had returned and who had gone through a lot of bureaucracy in order to get their recognition of their specialty. So we did away with that bureaucracy. We cut red tape and we provided for the automatic recognition. So these events are extremely useful because this is a work in progress, right? We want to consistently and systematically and progressively, I would say, alleviate burden, basically do away with burdens, and improve incentives for Greeks to come back.
That. Thank you very much, Minister. So that's always been a chronic plague, unfortunately, of many people's interactions with the Greek state. Too much red tape, too much bureaucracy, too much paperwork, and I'm sure that's music to many people's ears to hear that that process, specifically in this situation, has been simplified so that they're able to apply their talents in a meaningful and expeditious way. So. I just wanted to ask as well, Minister Kerameus, many people who have been to Greece, Greek or not, have made a very similar and I think accurate observation is that Athens and the area around it in Attica is built up, and it's one of the few countries in the developed world where it's such a large percentage of the population of a country is concentrated in one city and one urban area, the capital. Um, I think there's a lot of people who have, relatives from the eparchia, as we say, from the country, from the outside regions of Greece, outside of Attica, maybe the islands, maybe the Peloponnese, maybe mainland Greece, you name it, who are concerned that perhaps with all of this growth, it is top heavy in terms of the growth occurring in Attica. Does ReBrain Greece have a program or an idea on how to attract the investment that it is with human capital, of course, I'm saying in this situation, the investment and all these companies that are coming across the pond, as they say in Europe, to the United States to attract talent, both diaspora and Greeks who have left alike. Is there a plan to somehow spread out in a way the investment so that perhaps, labor opportunities for Greeks in Greece as well will expand outside of Thessaloniki and especially Athens? Is there a plan for that?
Right. First of all, let me answer the first part. So, ReBrain does not necessarily focus in Athens. So there are companies which are hiring in other cities. I was just now over lunch with a company that had just hired through ReBrain in Larissa. So, a smaller city, and they did hire for their factory there. So there's no limitation whatsoever. Obviously, and it's true what you said that half of Greece's population is in Athens, and that creates a whole host of issues. But number one, ReBrain does not only focus in Athens; it focuses in other cities as well. And number two, we as Ministry of Labor have many programs for subsidized employment, for instance, in order to, I would say, facilitate companies which are outside of Athens and Thessaloniki in various areas of Greece. For instance, yesterday I was in Kozani and in Hrevena, and there we have a whole host of programs for subsidized employment in order to facilitate the employment by companies, especially in those areas which face more difficulties as far as I would say the workforce is concerned. Yesterday, I was at a company where we have partnered with our schools for technical skills that belong to the Ministry of Labor. They came to us saying, look, this is a specialty we're missing from our factories. They produce wood in particular. And so we crafted the program focused on that skill set in particular. And so this program is a 2-year program. We have 30 or 40 kids of Hrevena participating. Those 30 or 40 kids would have left Hrevena in all likelihood had it not been for that program. And that program is a dual program. So in the morning, they have practical training in the factories. And then the afternoon, they take classes. Within 2 years, they earn their degree. And afterwards, they have a guaranteed position if they want to continue working there. So here's an example of the Greek state, I would say, assisting companies and keeping young Greeks in other cities other than Athens and Thessaloniki. And this happens all over Greece. It's not just happening in 1 or 2 cities, but we have a whole host of such programs in a variety of cities across Greece.
Yeah, it's very important to spread the wealth, as we say, and to make sure that other regions are getting their time to shine as well. It's very encouraging to hear that the hands-on training is occurring in that story that you just shared with us. Would Greece be open to state-sponsored trade schools around Greece, namely, to help rebuild the infrastructure of the country, particularly in the United States, we have, trade schools that are private. In Greece, perhaps the state would be able to step in for, a school in different regions that critical jobs like plumbing,
Mhm.
carpentry, and all of these things. Would that be something that the Greek state would be open to? And of course, ReBrain Greece could be a critical factor in that, where they can maybe even retired folks of the diaspora could come and be teachers and lecture and things of that nature. But would that be something that is on the table?
It's already happening. We have schools across Greece, schools that belong to the Ministry of Labor. They're vet schools, vocational educational training, focused on technical, I would say, skills and professions. Plumbers are within those specialties, electricians as well. Um, um, uh, uh, Technical people for renewable energies, which are in tremendous need right now because, as you know, Greece and Europe as a whole are going through the green transition. You need people to support from a technical point of view this transition. So a variety of very concrete, I would say, professions where specific skill sets are required. Yes, they are offered through these schools of their public schools, but which partner with private companies. They can partner with private companies, and we can record concrete needs that those companies have. And I would say craft tailor-made programs to cover those needs and to teach such skill sets in order for those young people afterwards to be perfectly employable in areas of great demand. I recently went to one of those schools where we have a plumbing class. Indeed, it's sold out. It is sold out because we have so much interest. Plumbers are in tremendous need in Greece, and that's why we offer the specialty, and they earn a lot of money.
Yeah, the Ministry of Labor seems to be doing what it can to plug in the holes in the workforce and providing not just service industry positions, but also setting up the workforce across a spectrum of different vocations in order to put the people of Greece and the diaspora in the best position to succeed. So that's
Right.
it's very enheartening. Um, Minister Kerameus, we've been talking a lot about ReBrain Greece and trying to attract the bright minds that have left Greece or people who have never lived in Greece to either return to Greece or move to Greece for the first time. Um, you have correctly stated that the economic growth of Greece, and this is something that our listeners must understand, this was unthinkable just a
Mhm.
few years ago. Greece, especially for our listeners outside of Greece's borders, know what I'm talking about. The international perception of Greece just a few years ago was one of a state that was in decline of economic, not stagnation, but depression. And now that perception has completely changed, and many of the countries that were instrumental in implementing very harsh measures on Greece currently find themselves in a worse economic position than the country that they did this to. So, which is fascinating how that works. But we have been talking about the folks who've left and to come back. What about the people who are in Greece today? For the youth in particular, who might have been just young enough in the down years of the economy to not have been participating in the workforce, to those who were university aged and matured through those years, what what is being done to impact the people who are already there and so that they see meaningful economic growth in their own homes and not just on statistical spreadsheets, growth that they feel in their everyday lives and that their quality of lives are getting better and that their skill set, the skills that they've acquired in university or through mentorship programs, they are doing what they want to be doing, what they studied to do. They're getting rewarded via salary and experience accordingly. What's being done for them?
I think there's no better way to sense the growth of of a country than through finding a job. If you look at the numbers, and if you compare 2019, which is when we took office, and today, we have more than 500,000 people who did not work at the time back in 2019, and now they're working. That's 500,000. 500,000 people who did not have a job and now they have a job. So that's one aspect, which is a quantitative aspect. But it's not just the quantitative aspect, it's the qualitative as well. And when I say qualitative, I mean two things. Number one, salaries. The minimum wage has gone up by 35%. The medium wage has gone up by roughly 30%. And also, another figure that's really important is we have a lot more people working on full-time employment compared to 6 years ago. So we have less and less part-time employment, more and more full-time employment. So those are qualitative factors which have to do with everyday life and have to do with, the opportunities that arise through a job. And I can say the number of things that have been done in education and health, etc. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is for somebody to have a job and to be in a position to pay for himself and for his family. And that has dramatically changed in the past 6 years. So yes, figures have a certain value and stats have a certain value, but behind the stats, behind the figures, they're human beings. And the fact of the matter is that we have more than 500,000 human beings, co-citizens, who did not have a job and now have a job in Greece.
Yeah, it's a great measure of how far Greece has come is the sense of optimism from folks returning to Greece, but also a key measure, like you said, is um, feeling it in your pocket and not just reading it in a news article. Hopefully, that's in Ethnikos Kirikas in the National Herald, but that's another matter entirely. For Greece's continued growth, what needs to be done for example, when ReBrain Greece has this delegation and it goes to countries like Germany and the United States, what do you hear might be the hesitation on their part, for example, of trying to attract talent in Greece? Is it maybe the legal system in Greece? Is it because for our listeners who may not know, um, Greece's labor laws are more tailored to protecting the worker. And that sometimes, like for example, in the United States, and it depends from state to state, et cetera, that may not always be the case. For example, for many people in Greece who have had offices in Greece, if they ever had a need to, for example, unfortunately terminate an employee, it has always been notoriously difficult to do so. Sometimes legal proceedings take a very long time. Is that one of the things that might be a sticking point that's being worked on, or what might be a hesitation that foreign companies who seek to invest in Greece and to hire Greeks, what is that a sticking point, or if not, what is?
Look, Greece has changed a lot, and Greece has become extremely attractive for investment. And that proves the fact that we have a significant increase in FDI, foreign direct investment, over the past 5, 6 years. Greece, yes, will protect its workers, but at the same time, it will ensure, it will cut red tape, it will enhance flexibility for companies as well. We recently passed legislation that does both. On the one hand, it enhances the protection of workers as far as health and safety is concerned, or as far as working mothers, for instance, are concerned. But at the same time, will cut red tape. You will be able to hire people from your cell phone. I'm not sure in how many countries that actually exists, this facilitation of making hires as easy, as seamless as possible. So Greece is very much ahead in a variety of ways. I want to give you one example of that. It used to be the case that if you were a pensioner and you decided to work, you had 60% of your pension be withheld. um, we changed that and reduced the 60% to 30%. And all of a sudden, we saw an increase in pensioners declaring that they are working. So we thought of going all the way. And so we completely abolished any reduction in the pension if you decide to work. And you just have to submit a 10% levy basically on what you earn to the Greek pension system. Result, we went from 35,000 working pensioners to 253,000 working pensioners. Why do I say this? Because this past week, the Financial Times had an article on Germany following a similar example. Germany going through providing for tax incentives for pensioners wanting to work and providing for I would say, beneficial treatment to them. So Greece, yes, will protect its workers, but Greece at the same time will ensure that companies do not have red tape, that we do away with as much as red tape as possible, that we introduce flexibility, and that we attract investment in Greece.
Folks, you heard it from the minister herself. Germany taking a page out of Greece's labor book. You can't make it up. Oh, how the tables turn in a very short amount of time. Minister Kerameus, just finally for the last question, when your tenure as Minister of Labor and Social Security is over, what do you hope to have achieved in terms of policy, opportunity of Greek for the Greek youth, for the country in general, from your specific position now? What do you hope will come of all of these programs and all these policy shifts?
Look, the Ministry of Labor is very closely tied to the economy of the country, as you can appreciate. My aspiration is that we will continue seeing a decrease in unemployment. We will continue seeing new jobs opening up, and better salaries as well. So it's not just a question of the numbers, so how many new jobs will open, and I'm hoping that many more will open, but it's also seeing salaries increase. So I would say that, look, we have another year and a half roughly until the next elections. I'm hoping we will actually see a further reduction of unemployment. We've already seen in the past year we've had a reduction of roughly 2.5 percentage points in unemployment in just 1 year. So I'm hoping we will see a further reduction. I'm hoping we'll see a further increase, salary increase, because that will mean that more Greeks will be in a position to work and will earn their life better and therefore have a better quality of life. And that's all I'm hoping for and working for.
Well, thank you, Minister Kerameus, for your time. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you stateside in December.
So
Um,
December 7th, if there's one thing that has to that has to, that you have to retain from this interview, I would say is December the 7th. It's a Sunday. New York City, Times Square, Marriott Marquis, all-day event. You have to register, go online, platform ReBrain, Ministry of Labor. If you are thinking of coming back to Greece, if you've never even thought about it, but want to just come along and see how Greece is doing, talk to people, high-end networking event, come with us. It's free, December the 7th, New York City.
Thank you, Minister Kerameus, for your time. We greatly appreciate it. I want to thank our listeners and our viewers of Café Kouvénta, an Ethnikos Kyrikas National Herald podcast and broadcast. And thank you so much. You can find this episode and all other episodes wherever you listen to your podcast. So once again, thank you, Minister Kerameus, and good luck. And we'll see you in December here in New York.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.